All right, let's go NFC South. Actually, no, I lied. Let's go NFC East. The division that gets talked about more than any division in football. We're going to start with the Cowboys. 12-5 last year. Got stomped by the fucking Packers in the playoffs last year. Embarrassing. 48-32, I think it was. Fifth total offense last year. Number one red zone offense. Fifth in total defense, but they lose Dan Quinn. They lose Dan Quinn to Washington in the division, funny enough. So Dan Quinn had that defense balling the fuck out the last 3 years, whatever he was there. Deron Bland set the pick record while he was there. Parsons went crazy. Diggs went crazy. He got guys to play at their best level. Now, Mike Zimmer comes over, new defensive coordinator. He was in Dallas from 94 to 06. So he comes back. He's familiar with the building, familiar with the fan base, familiar with all that. Obviously, longtime coach of the Minnesota Vikings. So what does the defense look like under Zimmer? I think they'll be fine. I don't know if they'll be as good as they were with Quinn, but they have most of the same pieces. And when you have Micah Parsons and Diggs comes back, you still have Lawrence. Like, they should be good. Like, they should be fine. We'll go. Let's see. We already talked about Dak. I'm not going to continue to hit that home. McCarthy has to be on the hot seat. I can't believe he wasn't fired after last year. If he doesn't win a playoff game this year, he's gone. Should be gone. Should have been gone. Don't know why he was really ever hired in the first place. That's neither beside the point. I like Mike McCarthy. Just don't think he's the coach for future coach for the Cowboys. Jerry Jones said this offseason that they were going to go all in to make more money is what he fucking meant. Because that dude, they did nothing to improve their roster. They're arguably worse this year than they were last year. Jerry's all-in comment is just for people that do stuff like me to eat it up and talk more about the fucking Cowboys. I'm not going to be a person that just talks about the Cowboys every single day because they do numbers. If they're relevant, I will talk about them. I already told you I think Dak Prescott's a hell of a quarterback. I like CeeDee Lamb. He was my number one pick in fantasy last year. I like Mike Parsons. I like Diggs. But in terms of the media coverage they get, I fucking hate the Cowboys. And I think most of us do. And that's why we all love to watch them lose. But we like them to be good in the regular season because if they lose in the playoffs, it makes it even more better. Return of Trayvon Diggs this year. Excited to see him back after that big year. It's crazy enough that I'm even saying this, but they add Zeke Elliott back to this roster. Wild. I don't know what that's going to look like. They also add Dalvin Cook, but they're starting a rookie running back. His name escapes me right now. He won the job. He's the number one running back over Zeke and over Dalvin Cook. We'll see what the running back room ends up playing out to be. He also had Eric Kendricks on defense, 10th season, spent last year with the Chargers. We'll see what that team looks like. You lose Tyron Smith. I mentioned that with the Jets. 13 years in Dallas, definitely will be a potential Ring of Honor guy there, but weird not seeing Big 77 with those knee braces on his elbows playing left tackle for the Cowboys. All right, let's talk Eagles. Maybe the weirdest season of all last year. 11-6, lost to the Bucs in the wild card. They fucking started 10-1 after losing the Super Bowl, which doesn't happen. People don't start 10-1 after losing the Super Bowl. It's very rare. But then they just shit the bed and they lost 6 of the final 7 games. I don't know what to even say about this team right now. They were 8th in total offense last year. I don't know if this is being talked about enough. They have 2 new coordinators again. They had 2 new coordinators again last year. And guess what? This is the 3rd straight year Jalen Hurts has had a new offensive coordinator. I don't give a fuck how good Jalen Hurts is. That's not conducive to success at all. Vic Fangio, new defensive coordinator from Miami. They tried to hire him in 22, or maybe they tried to hire him last year. I can't remember. He was a defensive consultant one of those years. I like Fangio. Think he's going to be a massive upgrade for them on the defensive coordinator position. He's obviously coached Ray Lewis and Ed Reed in Baltimore, DC under Jim Harbaugh in San Francisco for those 4 years. 4 years as DC was, Chicago and Khalil Mack. 3 years head coach in Denver. Like, this guy's been around the block, seen a lot of good defensive players. This defense will be good and much more improved last year. They literally could not tackle from the linebacker position last year. Let's hope that improves this season. Kellen Moore comes over from the Chargers. Now, I could say a lot of things about Kellen Moore, but I will not, because I think he's a decent offensive coordinator that when you lose Herbert last year, fuck are you supposed to do? 7th year as an OC. A lot of those Cowboys teams with Dak, Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator for those teams when they were the number one offense in the league. He loves to throw the ball, though. Eagles' most success when they went to the Super Bowl was they were running the fuck out of the ball with Steichen and Hurts. Hurts was running that tush push. They were running that read option, and he was running the shit out of the ball. Yeah, he was throwing it deep to A.J. Brown, but he was running the shit out of the ball. We'll see what Kellen Moore does with Hurts and Saquon now. Like, what? We talked about Derrick Henry and Lamar. We talked about Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. And now we have Hurts and Saquon together. Sign me up, dude. I'm excited about this. Very excited about this. But we'll find out if Saquon was worth paying top running back market money to. We will find out. I think he is, because I think Saquon is probably second best running back in the NFL when he's fully healthy. We'll see if he was worth it, though. Sirianni has to be on the hot seat. Has to be on the hot seat. They wanted the fan base wanted him fired after last year. Remember, Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl. What was that, 2-3 years later, they fired his ass? If Sirianni doesn't succeed this year, he will be fired, which is crazy to think about. And then no Kelsey. No Jason Kelsey. I'm sad about it. As much as you can enjoy watching a center play football, I did. Kelsey is very fun to watch. I'll miss watching him play, but they're going to miss his leadership more than anything. They will miss his leadership more than anything. Called out every single scheme on the defensive end. Called out the Mike linebacker, you name it. Jason Kelsey's first ballot Hall of Famer. But what they're not talking about, Fletcher Cox is gone too. Fletcher Cox on that defensive end is gone too. Him and Kelsey were the anchors of that team. I believe Nick Sirianni said in an interview that he had so much success early on in his career because he had Fletcher Cox on the defensive line and Jason Kelsey on the offensive line. They're both gone now. So who replaces them in terms of leadership? Who replaces them in terms of production? We'll find out. I still expect the Eagles to be really good. They got a damn good offensive line. They got a damn good defense. They add Mekhi Becton, new starting guard, former first-round pick of the Jets. Played only one game from 2021 to 2022 due to injury, but he played all 16 last year. They're going to move him to guard. He was a tackle originally. Absolute monster. I think he's like 6'7", 3 something. He's an absolute beast. And then they get to Jahan Dotson a couple weeks ago. They trade a third and 2 sevens for Dotson to be their third, string wide receiver. Dude's got crazy skills, and now he's going to be getting the third corner after Devontae and A.J. Brown. He'll have a nice year. Bryce Huff, last 4 years of the Jets, 10 sacks for the Jets last season. Like that pickup on their D-line. Devin White comes over from Tampa Bay. I just mentioned the linebacker problem. They couldn't fucking tackle. Well, this is a guy that's got 566 tackles in his career. They will be just fine. And then I know Eagles fans are excited about Quinyon Mitchell, their first-round cornerback pickup from Toledo. Excited to see what this back end looks like with him and Slay and a couple of those other guys back there as well. Lou Swift in the backfield, but Saquon's got to be an upgrade for them. Let's talk Giants quickly. We'll talk Giants. 6-11 last year. Literally a dog shit team. 29th in offense, 27th in defense. I genuinely do not understand how they paid Daniel Jones. I get it. If you don't have a franchise quarterback, you suck. Well, they suck and claim they have a franchise quarterback. So this has to be his final season, right? If he sucks again this year, how can they honestly validate bringing him back to start again next year? You can't fucking do it. Can't do it. Can he even save his job? Even if he plays well, can they warrant keeping him if they get another high pick with that quarterback class that's coming out next year? He's only played a full season one time. He obviously won that playoff game, which is crazy to think about. That Vikings team that won every one-score game and then just lost to the Giants in the playoffs. 6 games played last season. I can tell you right now, Brian Daboll does not want this guy to be his quarterback. Watch Hard Knocks. He doesn't want him to be his quarterback at all. But this is the first time that Daboll is calling plays since his time as the offensive coordinator in Buffalo. Now, he made Josh Allen kind of into what Josh Allen was, or as we know him to be today. Can he do some of those similar things with Danny Dimes? Doubt it. Doubt it. I'm not a Danny Dimes believer. Turns the ball over way too much. Way too much. What is the direction of this franchise? They're going into their 100th season. 100th season. And this is the first time they've had a head coach entering year 3 since Coughlin. Tom Coughlin. He retired. He left in 2015. This is the first time they've had a coach going into year 3. So I like Daboll. I originally wanted him to be the Chargers coach when we hired Staley. I was like, give me the guy that orchestrated Josh Allen's offense. We hired Staley. He ends up going there, obviously. So we'll see. Is he the future coach for them? I don't know. Is Joe Shane, who also came over from Buffalo, the future GM? Better than fucking Gettleman, that's for sure. But we'll find out. I just don't know what the direction of this franchise is. I really don't. Until they find a quarterback, they have no direction, if you ask me. They did add some pretty sick players this offseason. Malik Neighbors. Unreal. 89 catches, 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns at LSU last year. There's a reason he was picked right behind Marvin Harrison Jr. A lot of people said those guys were interchangeable. We'll find out how good Malik can be with Danny Dimes. They also get Brian Burns. They traded him for a second and a fifth, 46 career sacks in 80 games. We'll talk about how bad Carolina fucked that trade up when we get to Carolina. But I like Brian Burns, adds some nice depth to their defensive line. And then they obviously get Drew Lock as well to be their backup quarterback. Was injured a little bit in preseason. But if Danny Dimes can't stay healthy, no offense, I love me some Tommy DeVito, some Tommy Cutlets. But Drew Lock's way better quarterback than Tommy DeVito. And then they get Devin Singletary to play running back as well. 20 touchdowns in 5 seasons. We'll see. He's not going to replace Saquon. They got to do it by committee there. First full season without Leonard Williams as well. That's why they got Brian Burns. So there you go. There's your Giants breakdown. God, I hope Danny Dimes can play better this year because, in my opinion, the Giants are a flagship franchise in the NFL. When they're good, it elevates the league. So they need to get back to some semblance of being a respectable organization in the NFL. Washington, 4-13 record last year. They were ranked dead fucking last in defense last year. No shit, they fired all their coaches. And no shit, they bring in a defensive head coach. Dan Quinn comes over. Everything is brand new. Second-year owner, first-year GM, head coach, and coordinators. Dan Quinn, 3 seasons as Dallas DC. Top 10 points, defense, ranked top 10 in points per game, net yards allowed, sacks, interceptions, third down conversion percentage. All of them. Ranked top 10 in all of them while he was in Dallas. So this dude is an elite defensive coordinator. 5 seasons in Atlanta, obviously, took them to the Super Bowl, 28-3. We'll just leave that at what it is. It's been hashed enough times. Joe Witt Jr. is their new DC. He was with Dallas, or he was with Quinn in Dallas the last 3 years. So those guys are familiar. We'll probably see a similar scheme there. And then Cliff Kingsbury, baby. He is their new offensive coordinator. Now, you're probably going to say Cliff Kingsbury sucked as the Arizona head coach, blah, 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 blah. Miss me with it. That dude got Kyler Murray to play really good football. And when has Arizona been that great of a football team? I think Cliff Kingsbury is an offensive coordinator. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is a head coach. Now, he was with USC last year. What was his role? What was he? A senior offensive analyst? Basically just means he just did everything that Lincoln Riley needed him to do. And he helped Caleb develop and get better. I just told you the 4 seasons in Arizona as the head coach. Whatever, they were what they were. They trade Josh Rosen and draft Kyler Murray for him. But this is a guy that's coached Mahomes and Johnny Manziel. And now he gets Jayden Daniels. Definitely the most agile and mobile of those 3. And maybe the best deep ball thrower too, in terms of when he coached them. Remember, he coached Mahomes at Texas Tech, Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M. Relax, I'm not talking about Mahomes right now. You fucking sickos. Jayden Daniels, Heisman Trophy winner last year, 3,800 passing yards, 40 touchdowns, 4 picks. Pretty good, right? Well, he also had 1,100 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. Dude had 50 touchdowns and 4 turnovers last year and 4,900 yards. The dude is a freak show, an absolute freak show. Now, he's listed at 6'4", 210. I call bullshit. Ain't no way he's 210. If he is, hell yeah. But I don't think he's 210. Will he be able to take the hits in the league? You go back and look at some of those hits he took in LSU. Got up every time, but they look nasty. And he's not getting hit by Derwin James, or he's not getting hit by some of the hardest hitters in the league. Denzel Perriman, all these guys, these big time hitters, So we'll see. We'll see what happens. He's not getting hit by these D linemen named Myles Garrett and TJ Watt at LSU. We'll find out. I expect Jayden Daniels to be very, very good this year. The kid's so electric. He's going to be so fun to watch. I think this could potentially be one of the most fun teams to watch, strictly because of Jayden Daniels. And I think I might pick him to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, because I think the Bears might ask Caleb to do less than what Jayden must do in order for them to win games. They had Austin Eckler in the backfield, 38 touchdowns combined in 2021, 2022. A little bit of a down year last year, only 6 touchdowns, 1,000 yards total rushing and receiving. Looked like he slowed down a little bit. Remember, I'm a Charger fan. I watched this guy. I used to call him Austin Electric because he was electrifying when he would get the ball in his hands. Wasn't as electric last year. We'll see if he can bounce back. I know he was dealing with some injuries last year. I still like Eckler there in the backfield for them. They also get a veteran tight end, Zach Ertz, 7 games for Arizona last season. See if he can get back to some of that form he had in Philly. They get Noah Brown from the Texans, 33 catches, 567, and 2 touchdowns last year for Houston. They draft Luke McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's brother, in the 3rd round. Like his intangibles, not listed as a starter, but could see some playing time depending on how things shake out. My favorite player they picked up in the offseason, they drafted him, Mikey Sanders still. Cornerback, Michigan. Dude that had the pick 6 in the national championship game. I think it was a pick 6. He had a pick in the 90 for sure. But when you listen to Jim Harbaugh talk about the guys that led that defense at Michigan, Mikey Sanders still is one of the first names that come out of his mouth. I believe those Mikey's glasses are the Cartier shades that Harbaugh was wearing during the acceptance trophy. This guy is a dog, one of the smartest players in college football last year. I, as a Chargers fan, was dying that we could get him. Huge pickup for Washington. He'll start right away. He will start right away, and he will be a damn good corner for them right away. They pick up Tyler Biadasz from the Cowboys and Nick Allegretti from the Chiefs to go on their offensive line. Great pickups for them to help protect Jayden Daniels. And then they get Bobby Wagner, who's reunited with Dan Quinn. Obviously, he spent all that time with Quinn in Seattle in those Legion of Boom teams. He'll lead their defense. Love that for them. 3 new starters in the secondary. I mentioned Sanders still, Jeremy Chin, and Mikey Davis, who comes over from the Chargers as well. And then all new linebacking core as well. Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, who comes over from Carolina, I believe, and then Dante Fowler Jr. as well. So Dan Quinn basically came in here and said, I hate your defense. Give me all the guys that I need. There's your NFC East breakdown. I'm picking the Eagles to win this division. I don't think the Cowboys got better. As good as I think, CD and Dak and Mike Parsons are. I think the Eagles are a better team. I think they bounce back this year. I like their new coordinators. I like Saquon Barkley. I got the Eagles winning this division. It wasn't really that tough for me to decide.